Since its establishment as the country's national currency, the dollar has undergone many updates and changes, but nothing compares to the proposal that's being debated today. The United States is considering whether or not to adopt a digital version of its currency, one that's better suited for today's increasingly cashless world, which could be one of the dollar's most fundamental transformations. This is the Digital Prepper, and today I'm going to talk about what this conversion to digital currency is, how it would work, and the benefits and downsides to it. Before we get started, I just want to remind you guys that if you do like the video and want to discuss anything regarding digital preparedness, or just preparedness in general, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to see more like this. With that being said, let's get started. So recently, the United States Federal Reserve released a paper laying out the advantages and disadvantages of a digital currency. In this scenario, the United States would not only mint the coins and print paper bills, but also issue digital cash, or a central bank digital currency that would be stored in applications or digital wallets on our smartphones. We could then use them to pay for things just like we do with applications like Venmo or Apple Pay, and no physical money would ever change hands. Now, this is a vision of a cashless future that other countries are already embracing. China, for example, has unveiled the digital yuan on a trial basis. India has also mentioned that they would create a digital rupee. Now, the United States is weighing in on whether or not it wants to follow this trend. The United States says it's a first step meant to kickstart an important conversation among policymakers and to gather feedback from average people like us to some of the country's largest financial institutions. So, with all that being said, here's what to know about the digital dollar. So, how would it actually work? Well, policymakers stress that these are early plans and that there is a lot that needs to be figured out. All in all, the transactions conducted with digital dollars probably wouldn't seem too different from existing private alternatives that allow us to pay for things by bringing our smartphones next to digital readers. China, for example, allows digital yuan payments in the cities in which the country is piloting its digital currency, which allows those citizens to make payments via an app set up by the government. China's central bank will be able to monitor every transaction, so it doesn't have any anonymity like Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency. In order to make transactions anonymous with using digital currency, a way to provide these services to users is through the use of tokens, which would be either hardware such as a specific chip in a smartphone, or a debit card that can hold a set amount of funds while permitting anonymous transactions. However, looking at China's digital privacy laws, people using the centralized digital currency have a right to, quote, managed anonymity for any transactions involving digital currency, meaning that there's anonymity between you and the merchant that you are purchasing from, but no anonymity between you and the government. So, why are we even pursuing a digital currency, and what are the possible benefits that could come from this? Well, one clear benefit that people are potentially looking at is reducing or eliminating fees. Now, currently, when you make a contactless payment today, such as using Google Pay, Apple Pay, or Venmo, it may seem immediate to you, but a lot happens behind the scenes. Your mobile device tells the other person's mobile device to inform a series of banks to confirm who you are, how much money is in your bank, and to confirm that there is enough money to move from your bank to the other person's bank. With all of those steps, on each of those steps there are transaction fees. In 2020, transaction fees added up to more than $110 billion, which was generally shouldered by the businesses that you're purchasing from themselves. With a digital dollar, you could in theory eliminate those middlemen. If you wanted to buy a sandwich, for instance, you could transfer money from a digital wallet directly to that business. Another benefit that this could have is that it could put pressure on credit card companies and payment processors to lower their fees to be competitive, if enough people started using the government-controlled digital currency. In China, adoption of their digital currency has been slow given that private providers such as WeChat or Alipay, which are multi-purpose instant messaging, social media, and mobile payment apps, are already pretty popular and are owned by a third-party company, not the government. Another argument for creating a digital dollar is to open up digital transactions to Americans who don't have bank accounts. According to the Federal Reserve System, more than 5% of US households do not have bank accounts. Providing them with a digital wallet would allow people to participate in the financial system, which unfortunately is becoming more and more cashless. And finally, it would also make it easier for the federal government to distribute benefits. For example, during the pandemic, having a digital dollar in place could have allowed the government to transfer relief payments directly into digital wallets. So, with that all being said, what are some of the largest issues and challenges of adopting this kind of system? Well, without question, one of the biggest issues is going to be privacy. Because the Federal Reserve System would implement and oversee this project, the central bank would gather a vast amount of data, potentially giving it a lot more visibility into everyone's financial life, which could be useful to regulators who want to combat things like money laundering, for example, but it would also raise serious privacy concerns. According to a professor of finance at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business and a former governor of the Reserve Bank of India, the privacy issue alone would make it critical to sort out how much information the Federal Reserve System would have. There will also be legitimate questions about how much the government knows about each individual, and also how much it can act to restrain activities by individuals. Coins or dollar bills are decentralized and anonymous, but that anonymity means that they can be used for illegal transactions. However, at the same time, sometimes it's easier to use physical cash to purchase certain items, and not all transactions with large amounts of cash lead to criminal activity. And tracking every transaction, again, raises privacy and civil liberty concerns. Another huge issue is given the uptick in hacks and data breaches in businesses, specifically cryptocurrency exchanges, cybersecurity is another critical issue. To even think about implementing a digital dollar, the US government would need to modernize and upgrade the country's financial infrastructure to stave off attacks, as security breaches from these systems that enable the use of digital currency could have immediate effects on payment systems and consumers. An attack or disruption of the system may also lead to other effects that would pose bigger risks to financial markets, economies, and currency issuing institutions. Even more, this level of complexity has the potential to introduce even more vulnerabilities, so they would really need to be able to effectively manage the security of this kind of system. So what's going to come from all of this, and how can we possibly prepare for it? Well, first, the Federal Reserve System is in the process of soliciting feedback from the public after releasing its paper last month. A link to this will be in the description. The Federal Reserve Bank of Boston also released preliminary results of its ongoing research into the technological challenges associated with implementing a digital currency in the United States. The good news, if you can call it that, is that it would take about 5 to 10 years to introduce a digital currency in the United States, so it's not necessarily something to worry about for the short term. However, depending on who you're talking to, the bad news is that it is something that you should possibly prepare for, as this does look like something that will be adopted in the coming years. In my opinion, looking at China's example of digital currency is, in my opinion, how it should not be deployed in the United States. The lack of anonymity will be a huge issue for the majority of the United States, and it will be interesting to see how they develop this. To prepare, because I don't see physical currency moving away, even with a centralized digital currency, having some physically will be a huge help for when or if you choose not to use this new system. Keeping precious metals like silver and gold is also a good preparedness tip, as those forms of currency have very high liquidity and will still be highly valued, making converting them to cash very easy. Take a look at some other preppers like Prepping with Sarge for more information on how to buy and store precious metals. I personally have learned a lot from their videos. My personal opinion on this is a bit mixed. On the one hand, we are more and more becoming a cashless society. I, for the most part, use credit cards for most purchases and really only keep cash for times when systems are down or for places that only take cash. With that being said, I am personally very skeptical about the prospect of a centralized digital currency, especially looking at data breaches as well as other cybersecurity issues that have happened. I don't really have much confidence that this will work out, but only time will tell, and I could happily be proven wrong. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to get more videos like this that will help you with your digital preparedness. If you have any ideas for more videos, or just want to share your experiences with prepping, please leave a comment down below. Stay safe, stay prepared, more digital prepping to come.